I guess what? What do you got? You upheld your duty.
Oh, co-resident.
Yeah, so, I think it's.
Call the village board meeting tonight, February 27th, 2023, and it's 5 minutes after 7. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance from Trustee Kasevich.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I will remain standing for just a second here. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our village. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders your people need. Help us to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence of your creation deserves. And finally, Father, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
Amen.
Still no excuse.
Notification of fire exits by Deputy Mayor Hamrick.
The emergency exit is located to my left and to the rear of the room. In the event of an alarm or emergency, please move in an orderly fashion to the exit and evacuate the building.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Adolph?
Here.
Trustee Ziamba?
Here.
Trustee Kasevich?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Here.
Mayor Pearson?
Here. First item tonight, approve the village board meeting minutes from February 13th, 2023.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion to move for its adoption. To approve the village board meeting minutes, February 13th, 2023.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, tonight, we'll entertain public comment on items that are on the agenda today. The two public hearings which start off the meeting, you'll be able to use that as your, at that point in the meeting to share any thoughts. So we'll be talking from resolution number 3 through resolution number 11. So resolution 3 tonight, permission to sign an Erie County Sewer Authority easement. So right now they're doing some work up on Borden Road, and they're asking that we grant them some permission to access an easement that's on village property. Next item up is authorization for a waiver. The old Checkers building is going to be a Mighty Taco shortly, and they apparently sell alcohol. So they had asked us a month or so ago about waiving the 30-day advance notice of intent to buy. So we are considering that tonight.
Which one?
I know I questioned whether or not, Sam, maybe you know this. So if you go in and you order a taco and a beer, can you leave with that beer?
I can't comment
I'm
on
wondering.
that. I don't represent the person buying the taco. It depends. I mean, if there's an open container law in New York, so you can't have an open bottle, but I think it was Lil Wayne who said, if it's in my cup, why are you worried about my cup? Right?
Could be. Anyway, I think it's probably like a bar where you
No, I
you
don't
can't
think
leave,
so.
can't leave with an open container. Next up is permission for the Depew Fire Department to use Northside Fire Station for an installation dinner on Saturday, March 11th, 2023, 3 to midnight. Next up is approve the auction results. This is how we dispose of items that were village property through an auction company. Auction International is our group that does this, and generally they've been very successful. Looks like there were some bargains on this. The 8250, for those that came in, probably saw it still out there, right? The white.
Yeah, it is.
combination stove, refrigerator, and freezer relic. DPW is redoing a small kitchen area, and that was an item that was in $82.50. Next up is a resolution authorizing negotiations with the highest-ranking qualified firm, Nussbaumer and Clark, pursuant to an RFP for engineering services related to the village's environmental planning grant, CFA project number 117884. This is part of our ongoing DEC consent order. Next is authorization for demolition, which is a resolution that's tied to today's second public hearing on a property that's up on Main Street, 73 Main Street. We've been progressing slowly but surely to this point where we can take down a building and relieve an eyesore, and probably more important than that is the lady who rents apartment next door, which is super close. So I think that'll be very good to get that done. A resolution submitted to New York State Governor Kathy Hochul. This is where the governor supports Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. It's been in the news for quite a bit in the last couple of months. And for times like the blizzard that we had earlier in December, when a lot of homes were without electricity, it's questioning whether or not this is the right path to go at. And this will state whether or not the board is and the village is in favor of or not pursuing the way it's written today. Authorize the deputy village clerk to advertise for canvass the vote meeting, which will take place the day after the village elections, which this year the elections are on March 21st, 2023, here at Village Hall from noon to 9. The meeting is the next day at 7 o'clock. That's the only thing that's on the agenda that night. And the last item that is open for comments at this time, permission to sign a grant. This is the money that the village was awarded in mid-December, $351,528 as part of the 50-50 match for what I call Phase 2 of Fireman's Park upgrades. As a part of that is redoing the basketball and tennis courts, installation of pickleball court, walkways that connect all of the facilities, benches, lighting, trees, safety surfaces underneath all the playground equipment, and an additional shelter as well. So it's required that we pass this resolution tonight in order to move forward with the grant. So if anybody has any comments or questions on items 3 through 11, just step to the mic and state your name and your address, and we'll entertain those questions. And if not, and when they're over, we have the 2 public hearings, and if you have something you want to comment on that, you'll be able to step up and do the same. Paul Sprata?
I've got a couple of brief questions. Paul Sprata, 58 Argus Drive, Depew. Number 4 here, the liquor license waiver. What type of liquor?
Beer.
Just beer?
That's it.
Okay, no wine, no hard liquor? Okay. Just want to clarify that. Another thing here is about the Hochul resolution. I don't think it's going to fly. NFG, I don't think, is going to go for it, meaning National Fuel Gas. And looking at, you mentioned power outages, backup generators, Generac, I think, is the big, they run on gas.
Yep,
So,
sort of an irony, isn't it?
yes, it is. And, if a house doesn't have electricity, how do you stop your pipes from freezing? And if you don't have a wood stove, just a catch-22. So I, personally, I'm against the current
Yeah.
way it's stated. So other than that, I think that's it for me.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. Anything else on items 3 through 11? Okay. Seeing that there's none, we will go to item number 1, public hearing on local law number 2 of 2023.
There is a copy of the local law up on the podium here. This is the firefighter and ambulance personnel tax exemption.
You're up.
A public hearing to discuss the enacting of local law number 2 of 2023 for the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers tax exemption. The public hearing will take place at 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York, 14043, in the council chambers on February 27th, 2023.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion to open up the public comment on the public hearing, local law number 2 of 2023 at 7:17 p.m.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Sam, since you gave such a great recap of this, if you'd lead off the discussion.
Sure. The New York State Legislature changed the real property tax law, I think it's 466A, to make this property tax benefit available to firefighters and certain ambulance personnel more advantageous. They lowered the years of service requirement from 5 years to 2 years, and they changed a couple of other things. So municipalities around the state are passing local laws to permit this exemption to exist for firefighters and ambulance personnel. I'm glad to see a lot of volunteer firefighters in the room tonight, and if any of you feel passionately about whether or not this exemption should be available after 2 years or 5 years, I think the trustees and I would certainly love to hear that. That's one of the areas we have discretion. Most people are doing 2 years because you want to attract members and you want to retain members. We need to reach out to Lancaster and Cheektowaga to make sure they're doing this as well, because the application goes to the assessor, and if they don't pass the local law, I don't think ours would have any effect until they passed it, and we've styled it in that way that, we don't need to pass another local law because Lancaster passes this exemption next month. It would follow suit as soon as Lancaster passes or Cheektowaga passes. That's about it. Property tax
And
benefit.
right now also, it's one or the other, the $200 off the bottom line or the 10% off the assessed value of the property. I know it came up in the pre-board meeting. I mean, we're relatively affordable type properties here in Western New York, but downstate you can conceivably have $500,000, $750,000 house, a little bit more that might come off of the assessment at that point, but it's certainly something that I think we would like to look at. So if any of the members would like to step forward. President, past chief, Ron Maciejewski.
I don't have to give my name now.
Kibler, 44?
24.
24.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come up here and address you on this very important topic. And thank you for taking this topic into consideration. It was just recently passed in December by the Assembly and the Senate and the Governor. As we said with the LoSAP referendum, this is another tool that volunteer fire departments can use in recruiting and retaining members, which is very important. It's a nationwide problem in the volunteer fire service, trying to recruit and retain. And Sam, with your 2 to 5, I think I would definitely recommend the 2 also. It's a way to attract people. Some of our newer members are younger, they live at home or they rent. This may be a push for them to consider purchasing property in the village of Depew. So definitely, on a personal level, I would like to see us do the 2. But again, as getting back to a recruitment or retention tool, the Firefighters Association of the State of New York, better known to us as FASNY, which is our leading agency for legislative actions on the volunteer fire service, has done studies in the past on the cost effectiveness of volunteer fire departments. They did one towards the end of last year. They're still putting the final numbers together, and actually that should be coming out within the next few days. The last one they did was in 2015. At that time, the savings to the residents of New York State by the volunteer fire service was $3.2 billion. I'm sure the number is going to be way up with inflation. So again, the volunteer fire service is a very cost-effective agency to all governments that use volunteer firefighters. And another thing, Sam, in regards to the $200 tax exemption, yes, right now, you can only take one or the other. Again, FASNY has got a twofold plan with that. They do want to raise it to $500, and they do want to eliminate that you can only take one or the other. The new law, the property tax exemption law, was written without any other exemptions in it where you couldn't double dip. That double dip is in that $200 income tax exemption, which is in the process of trying to be changed. As a matter of fact, it is on the agenda for the budget adoption for this year, so we'll see if that passes. But again, I'm asking the board to please consider voting yes on this to, again, help us recruit and retain our volunteer firefighters. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Ron.
Anyone else? Any comments from the board?
I have one quick question, Sam. As I read this, I keep reading enrolled member, right? So anyone that's already retired sees no benefit from this?
Can I see that?
You have to be an active member, you have to be on the active rolls, but this is,
Yeah.
whenever the village of Depew adopts this, you have to be on the rolls at that time. It is not, the only thing that's retroactive would be the 20 years.
Right.
Okay, that was a question. Thanks.
That's what I was looking for, the subsection B. So if you accrue more than 20 years, get grandfathered in.
And that is retroactive.
Right.
So anyone that doesn't is out, right?
Anyone that's not active at this time but had 20 years in the department?
No,
I'm sorry.
no. They have to, I sat through the FASB webinar last month, and again, your name has to appear on the active roster the date whenever you, as the board, do this resolution. Somebody who was in 10 years ago cannot take part in it, and they cannot come back and say, well, I used it 10 years. No, it's the day that it was enacted. Your name has to appear on the active roster of the fire department.
Unless you have 20 years?
You still have to be on the active roster the day of the resolution.
Thanks.
All right.
I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing, the first one.
I'm sorry. Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the motion to close the public hearing on local law number 2 of 2023 at 7:25.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Item number 2, public hearing, demo of 73 Main Street, Depew, New York. You're up.
A public hearing is approved to discuss the unsafe condition and the property owner's refusal to comply now requires the demolition of 73 Main Street, Depew, New York. The public hearing will take place at 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York, 14043, in the council chambers on February 27th, 2023, by the order of the Board of Trustees, Melissa Dabb, Deputy Village Clerk, Village of Depew.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion to open the public hearing for the demo of 73 Main Street at 7:26 PM.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Hey, anybody who would like to speak on the demolition of 73 Main Street? Anybody would like to speak on the demolition of 73 Main Street?
I'd just like to note that the notice of demolition was filed with the Erie County Clerk's Office well in advance of this hearing and more than 5 days in advance of this hearing, and was personally served on the owner of the property.
Anyone want to comment on 73 Main Street and the demolition? Regina, is there anything on the online? Seeing that there is no comment, entertain a motion to close.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion to close the public hearing on the demo of 73 Main Street at 7:27 PM.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. At what time was that, Audrey?
7:27 PM.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 3. Permission to sign an agreement with Erie County Sewer Authority easement.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas Mayor Kevin Peterson is requesting permission to sign an easement request from Erie County Sewer Authority on Borden Road in Depew, New York, a copy of which is attached here too. Now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Kevin Peterson is permitted to sign the easement requested from Erie County Sewer Authority.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Adolph?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kamernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Passed.
Go. Resolution number 4, authorization for a waiver.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas Mighty Taco has completed the standardized notice form for providing 30-day advance notice of intent to file a new application for an on-premises alcoholic beverage license for beer to the Village of Depew to be sold at 5670 Transit Road, Depew, New York, 14043 for an on-premises liquor license. And whereas, pursuant to the applicable provisions of the Alcoholic and Beverage Control Law, Section 64, Subdivision 2A, the Village of Depew has been notified of their intent to file an application for a liquor license with the New York State Liquor Authority. And whereas a 30-day hold before said application can be filed is mandated by New York Alcohol and Beverage Control Law unless this time is waived by the municipality. And whereas the Village of Depew Board of Trustees wishes to assist the applicant in expediting the application process and see no objection to the issuance of a liquor license. Now, therefore, be it resolved that to the extent permitted by the New York State Liquor Authority, the Village of Depew Board of Trustees hereby waives the requirement that written notice of the application to be given to the village at least 30 days prior to submitting this application. And be it further resolved that the village administrator or acting village administrator is hereby authorized to issue a letter to the applicant and to the New York State Liquor Authority to confirm the village's receipt of the notice of intent to file for the liquor license and a waiver of the 30-day hold on the processing of said application.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Adolph?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kamernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Passed.
Resolution number 5, permission for Depew Fire Department to hold a company installation dinner.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Permission is hereby granted to Depew Hose Company Number 1 to use the North Side Fire Station for their company installation dinner on Saturday, March 11th, 2023, from 3 p.m. to midnight.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 6, approve the auction results.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following resolution and move for its adoption. Be it resolved that the results from Auctions International online auction ending February 22nd, 2023, totaling $2,342.50 are approved as follows. Lot 1, Dwyer Combination Stove, Refrigerator and Freezer, $82.50 to 998 New York. Lot 2, 4-piece emergency lighting, $230. EVILLE 1468. Lot 3, 90-inch Arctic snowplow assembly, $470 to Rick Mai. Lot 4, Dayton horizontal bandsaw, $165 to Rick Mai. Lot 5, Empire Sandblaster, $1,325 to Eagle 520. Lot 6, 2 chain falls / hoists, $70 Boat Builder.
I second the motion.
A roll call vote, please.
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kisevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 7, approve an agreement with Nussbaumer and Clark.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas, on December 27, 2022, the Village of Depew issued and advertised a request for qualification-seeking qualified firms to provide general planning services and the preparation of a Phase 9 infiltration and inflow report for the village services. And whereas proposals received from qualified firms in response to the RFQ were evaluated and ranked, with one firm responding, which said firm ranked as responsive and qualified with Nussbaumer and Clark Engineers. And whereas the village board wishes to authorize the village treasurer and/or mayor to negotiate a professional services agreement with the highest ranked firm, Nussbaumer and Clark Engineering, including a scope of services and fee for the services. And whereas the village board finds that it is in the best interest of the village to proceed as indicated in the resolution and authorize negotiations with a qualified firm in order to enter into a professional services agreement for the services. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the village board of the Village of Depew as follows. Section 1, negotiations authorized with Nussbaumer and Clark Engineers for services related to the Village Engineering Planning Grant number 117884. The village treasurer and/or village mayor are hereby authorized to negotiate a professional services agreement with Nussbaumer and Clark Engineers, including a scope of services and fee for the services. If necessary, authorization is granted to re-advertise for additional engineering proposals. If successful, negotiations cannot be completed with the firm. Section 2, implementation. The village treasurer and/or village mayor are hereby authorized to take any further action as necessary to implement the purpose of this resolution. Section 3, effective date. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon adoption.
I second the motion.
Get a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kisevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Carried.
Only how many more?
Resolution number 8, authorization for demolition of 73 Main Street, Depew, New York.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas, in response to a resident complaint, Code Enforcement Officer Don Bielefeld conducted inspection of the residence at 73 Main Street, Depew, New York on November 15, 2022, and issued an order to remedy and make safe. And whereas a reinspection occurred on December 21st, 2022, and January 6th, 2023, in which none of the items listed in the order to remedy and make safe were corrected. And whereas at the January 9th, 2023 regular board meeting, the Village Board of Trustees approved the demolition of 73 Main Street as an unsafe structure. And whereas on the 21st day of February 2023, the notice of demolition was served pursuant to CPLR Section 308-4 to the owner, executor, administrator, agent, leasee, or any person having a vested or contingent interest in such unsafe building as shown by the records of the receiver of taxes or of the county clerk per village law sections 81-6, 81-7, and 81-8. And whereas a public hearing has been held no less than 5 days after the notice of demolition was served. And whereas pursuant to Chapter 11 of the Depew Village Code, and as noted in the notice of demolition, the structure was determined to be unsafe, and the property owner has refused to comply. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 81 of the Depew Village Code, the unsafe condition and the property owner's refusal to comply require demolition of 73 Main Street, Depew, New York, and it is further resolved that the expenses of such demolition will be charged against the land on which it is located and shall be assessed, levied, and collected.
I'll second that motion.
Any roll call vote, please?
Trustee Adolph?
Yes.
Trustee Ziemba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson?
Yes.
Carried.
Number 9, resolution to be submitted to New York State Governor Kathy Hochul.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas Governor Hochul supports the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, which aims to generate 70% of the state's electricity from renewable sources by 2030 and 100% zero emissions electricity by 2040. And whereas it is commonly recognized as such an urgent timetable to accommodate the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act will severely test and challenge the financial stability of every Village of Depew, New York household. And whereas it is widely held that the existing power grid serving the Village of Depew, New York, will become overburdened and unable to absorb the increased demands that will necessarily attend the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. And whereas specifically noting the long-term power losses attending the ice storm of March 2nd and 3rd, 1976, the blizzard of 1977, the October surprise storm of 2006, the November 2014 storm, and more recently, the December 23rd through 25th, 2022 blizzard, the geographic area of the Village of Depew, located in the towns of Cheektowaga and Lancaster, New York, historically, have been gravely impacted by such severe weather and contemporaneously required reliable alternative sources of energy. And whereas the provisions of Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act will drastically reduce such alternative sources. And whereas it is the very strong position of the opinion of the Village of Depew's Office of Emergency Management, Fire Department, and Police Department that such energy limitations in times of weather or other civil emergency will overwhelm their collective capabilities and therefore will pose a very substantial threat to the lives and safety of each and every resident of the Village of Depew. Now therefore be it resolved that by virtue of the foregoing, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Depew expressed to Governor Hochul in the New York State Legislature its very strong opposition to the enactment of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act.
I'll second that motion.
And a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Adolph?
Yes.
Trustee Ziemba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 10, authorize the Deputy Village Clerk to advertise for the Canvass the Vote meeting.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption.
the Deputy Village Clerk is authorized to advertise a special meeting to canvass the vote of the March 21st, 2023 village election. The meeting will take place on March 22nd, 2023 at 7 p.m.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Resolution number 11, permission to sign the CFA grant.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas that the Village of Depew applied for financial assistance from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, OPRHP, under Title IX of the Environmental Protection Act of 1993 for the purpose of the funding of the Fireman's Park Inclusive Recreation Project. Whereas that the Village of Depew is authorized and directed to accept these grant funds in the amount not to exceed $351,528 for the project described in the grant application. Whereas that the Village of Depew is authorized and directed to agree to the terms and condition of the master contract with OPRHP for such Fireman Park Inclusive Recreation Project. Whereas that the Village of Depew is authorized and directed to agree to the terms and conditions of any required deed of easement granted to OPRHP that affects title to the real property owned by the municipality and improvement by the grant funds, which may be duly recorded public access covenant, conservation agreement, and/or preservation covenant. And now therefore be it resolved that the governing body of the municipality delegates signing authority to execute the master contract and any amendments thereto, any required deed of easements, and any other certifications to the individual who holds the following elected or appointed municipal office or employment position titled Mayor.
I'll second that motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson?
Yes.
Carried.
We received no employment applications these past 2 weeks. There's no department head reports at this time, no unfinished or other business. And before we get to public concerns and comments on any topic, we'd like to invite our guest, Elizabeth Brinkworth, from Assembly Member Monica Wallace's office. Came prepared with those boots on.
I did. I wasn't about to risk it with heels, especially in the parking lots. The Assembly member is currently hard at work in Albany, and they're receiving quite a bit of snow as well, I guess, right now. So everybody in New York is just hunkering down. She's busy with committee meetings as well as various constituent and advocacy meetings with the upcoming budget. She has governmental ops, consumer affairs and protection, higher education this week. She'll be in session today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Assemblymember Wallace is pushing heavily one of the bills she currently sponsored and drafted. It's advocating for statewide youth mental health and social media campaign to promote public awareness of the impacts of social media usage on mental health, and requires a course study on social media usage for all students. Every day in the media, we are seeing news articles, reports, podcasts, studies that advocate and discuss the mental health crisis our youths are facing. It's important that this bill becomes a law so we can educate our teenagers on the negative impacts of social media. Studies have shown that the mental health crisis of teens has increased by over 40%. Recently, Pew Research Center has seen a correlation in terms of teenagers, social media, and cyberbullying. In terms of one of the many items Assemblymember Wallace is negotiating in this budget is the unemployment program issue for small businesses. Assemblymember Wallace joined her colleague, Assemblymember Kenneth Zabrowski, and calling the state to invest in its unemployment program. The state is looking at an $8 billion unemployment burden, and she is advocating that the state help take on that burden instead of it going to small businesses. Lastly, I'll keep it brief just because I know there's a lot going on tonight. Seniors have until March 1st to sign up for the Enhanced STAR program. Eligible homeowners in Erie County can save up to $1,500 in property tax savings. So we've been making seniors aware of that as that deadline's approaching. And lastly, we understand there's a lot of concerns with the CLCPA and the natural gas ban. I know I had made comments on that in previous board meetings. That is something that the Assembly member is looking into and is making sure that all concerns are addressed regarding this natural gas ban, and is not something that she foresees supporting. I know I have commented on length on that. You can go to my previous statements I made. We're advocating very hard for the Western New York region, as we understand there are different needs than downstate. So if anyone else has any concerns or comments on any statewide matters, feel free to give us a call at the district office, email us. We are here to help and answer any questions or concerns everyone may have.
So I'd like you to pass along to Ms. Wallace that due to her advocating on behalf of the village with our Fireman's Park project, and she put us in contact with some people that we were going with geothermal heating and air conditioning rather than the natural gas that we were working on. There is enough incentives out there to do so, to keep the project within the constraints of the budget we have for Fireman's Park. So I know she had called me after she had, and we communicated to get the ball rolling on that. And the behind-the-scenes people that we put together presented a very great-looking project. We need to go out to bid, though, for it, and that will be happening within the next first week in March, I believe. It's not going to slow our project down, but it's an interesting technology, and it's going to score us some points in our climate project. So I appreciate that and pass that along.
Of course, she did want me to say she saw your email.
Yeah.
I was going to talk to you after the board meeting, but since you brought it up, she thanks you and the village for looking into this. She thinks it's a great initiative and that the village is taking, steps towards geothermal. I've had a couple calls with New York Geothermal. It's a really impressive technology and just a lot of versatility that's there as well.
Yeah, I'm impressed by the fact that NOCO tells us that we would be one of the first municipalities to install something like this.
Yes, on calls I have with geothermal, I had floated the idea that the village of Depew was interested, and they were highly impressed that you guys were taking the initiative.
Thank you.
So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go around to our department heads. Don over here with Kate from our building department.
Not too much to report. Kate did pass her final exam, and she is now a fully certified code enforcement officer.
Very impressive. Thank you, Kate.
We are knee-deep in a bunch of different projects going on. The new cell tower has been approved, so the one that fell behind the Dick Urban Plaza there will be being rebuilt shortly, so bear with them on that. Other than that, we're working diligently on getting some of these older buildings that we've been having issues with, the vacant ones, on our radar, getting the violation letters out, and hopefully moving forward with some more demolitions like 73 Main Street tonight. So
Very good. Thank you. On the other side here, Kevin Ferguson from Recreation.
We have about 5 weeks left in hockey. The teams are doing tryouts now, and then we're renting ice for birthday parties, which we haven't done before. I got about 5 or 6 of them booked, so that's a nice thing. But besides that, we're just planning for the summer and getting ready to close the rink in another 6 to 7 weeks.
Okay. Our DPW Superintendent, Ken Pick. You can hear your guys out back here.
Yeah. We've been working on demolishing the long shed at Fireman's Park. Everything we could recycle, we did. We recycled the block, the concrete, the beams. Kept like the went to landfill at a minimum. After the storm, we'll be around picking up brush after the ice storm. We have a crew out cutting branches, and if you have any branches that are hanging on trees in the right of way, give our department a call.
All right. Up to the top here, Chief Gothier from the Fire Department.
Okay, if you've seen smoke in the area of Broadway and Borden over the weekend, that was due to a flashover training that we had where we put firefighters in a training simulator, bring temperatures up over 1,000 degrees, and actually turn smoke back into flames. It's a pretty educational experience, mainly for our new firefighters that we do. We recently applied for a radio grant. Hopefully, in the very seeable future, we can get approved for that, which will save the village a great amount of money to update our radios and communications for the fire service. We're also in the process of applying for a SAFER grant, which is for recruitment and retention. So hopefully we can get that submitted and get approved for that also. Fire calls for the year I don't have for you right now. We're in the process of updating our computers, so all that stuff I didn't have access to at this meeting, but I'll update you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Chief. On the other side, Chief Miller from our Police Department.
Thank you. So this year, we've been extremely busy. So far this month, we had 1,065 calls for service. That's 100 more calls than last month. So our officers are pretty busy out there. I just want to send out a reminder. This community and many communities in Erie County are continuing to see an increase in car larcenies and vehicles being stolen. Many of these larcenies could have been prevented, as many of these crimes are crimes of opportunities. Car doors are kept unlocked, valuables are left in plain sight, and the keys or the key fobs are left inside the vehicles. As a result, we need to get the word out a lot more. I ask everybody here and at home to remind your family to lock their cars at night. We're going to go a little bit more proactive and start sending out daily reminders on our social media pages to make sure everybody's locking their doors and securing their keys before they go to bed. We'll be starting that shortly, probably this week, every night around 9 p.m. Give everybody a reminder. That's all I got.
Chief, you want to give an update on your dispatch center?
Yeah, so the dispatch center is coming along very quickly over the last month, the last 30 days. We have the control councils coming in at the end of the month. We have finishing up the electric and some AC work. So we're hoping our target day is the first or second week in April to be open and running.
Very good. Awesome. Sam from Legal.
I think I did enough talking about our local laws tonight.
Okay.
I was lucky to come and do some training for the police department on discretion and red flag law cases. We had another red flag law hearing today, which is pretty quick. The person consented. But always happy to help out, Chief. Feel free to let me know when I can come speak to everyone again. Appreciate it. That's about it for me.
Okay.
Not too much.
Trustee Kasevich.
Nothing for me today.
Trustee Adolph.
Our CGI banner program got started. We're working to get the banners we approved up by a Veterans Park. The first step of that is CGI or showcase banners. We'll be contacting local businesses. So any local businesses that receive a call or a walk-in from a guy trying to talk about it, his name is Al. They are sanctioned by the village, and you're more than happy to call myself or the mayor to give you an update of the people we're working with.
And there was a letter.
And there's a letter, yeah, an approved letter that's mayor signed, so. That's it.
The key is to have 25 of these 2 foot by 8 or 2 foot by 6?
Yeah, 2 foot by 6.
2 foot by 6
6
banners.
foot, yeah.
Obviously a lot larger than ones you typically see around the village during the summertime. But they'll primarily be in the Terrace Boulevard and all the way down to Veterans Park, perhaps if we get that many, down to Fireman's Park. And again, it's at no cost to the village. And they will compensate our electrical department for their time to put up the brackets and the banners, which we thought was the best way to handle that. On the other side, Trustee Zimba,
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Hamernick.
Well, you know me, I always have something to say.
That's why we save it for next month.
We also at the community center are putting in the geothermal system, except we're $20,000 short. So as soon as we can raise some money, we'll have that in. Just another statement. Next Tuesday is the State of the Union, or the State of the Town breakfast at the Columns Restaurant for Depew. Our mayor will be delivering our State of the Town. The Village of Lancaster with Lynn Ruda and Town of Lancaster Ron Ruffino, sponsored by the Lancaster Depew Elma Chamber of Commerce. It is at 8 a.m. at the Columns, and tickets are available for anybody that would like to come. Thank you.
Okay, and as Superintendent Pick indicated, the long-standing long shed at Fireman's Park, which is the key to the improvements that we'll be doing there this year. It came down last week. I know we got a text message bright and early from our neighborhood watch people in that A Street area that the building was coming down. Guys, firefighters put some effort into building that thing. It was steel girder construction along the entire top, correct? Yeah. That first piece was a tough one to come down, I guess. So that's what, Chief, is 60 some odd years, perhaps? Yeah, so we're looking at, with any luck, September-ish opening of that building. So I'll open it up to any questions or comments that anybody might have on anything discussed tonight or any of the other concerns in the Village of Depew. All set? Anybody online, Regina? Okay, they're all out shoveling the driveways.
Yeah.
Okay. I will entertain the claims and accounts.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, the claims and accounts have been audited by the Finance Committee and are approved for payment as follows.
10, General Fund, $81,385.75. 30, Community Development, 0. 50, Sewer Fund, $1,137.50. 80, Capital Project, 0. ARPA, $1,210 is part of the general fund for a total of $82,523.25.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And finally, the adjournment for tonight's meeting.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting after a moment of silence for the 22 injured firefighters from Staten Island.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And as